And I want to welcome you all here and thank the Red Cross for partnering with us, and thank the City of San Bruno for sending Lisa Costa-Sanders here from the building department to answer any questions that you may have. And we have an officer here as well. Are you available to answer questions? Wonderful. Okay, so what we will do when we get to, if you do have a question, I'd love you to raise your hand, and then we'll bring the microphone over to you, and that way the tape will be nice and clear, so that whatever questions that you have, the folks who may want to watch later will be able to understand what it was that was being discussed. So welcome to another in the United Policyholders Roadmap to Recovery program series. We have some wonderful speakers today. We're very pleased and fortunate to have two quite knowledgeable people to help you with, as we said in the poster, healing and dealing at the 1-year anniversary. And as probably all of you know by now, most of you are familiar. I think probably every one of you have been to one of our programs, so that you know United Policyholders is a nonprofit. We don't sell anything. Our work is funded by grants and donations. We don't accept any support from insurance companies. We're an independent voice. And a lot of our work through this Roadmap to Recovery program gets done by volunteers and staff who have walked in your shoes because they themselves were affected by a natural disaster. They either lost their home in a wildfire, partially or completely. So a lot of our materials, for example, the handout, one of the handouts that you have there that has our logo on it, is information about the statute of limitations or the suit against us language in your insurance policy, and we give a sample letter to you to get an extension if you need it at the 1 year. A lot of the ideas in that letter, that sample and our tips, came from our folks who actually went through what you're going through and have some knowledge to share. Plus, we have a lot of lawyers in our family because insurance policies are legal contracts. So we have to have that expertise in our family to give to you, especially at a time like this. So I was sharing with some folks before this meeting tonight that this 1-year anniversary educational program we're offering you tonight is one of the most important ones that we offer through this series, because the suit against us provision in your insurance policy is one of the provisions that is generally pretty firmly enforced by courts. And one of our speakers is going to explain more about that to you. But there are, in addition to the technical things that'll come up at the 1 year after a loss, of course, there's a lot of emotional issues that come up, and we have seen this many times over our 20 years doing disaster recovery long-term support. So we have with us tonight, for the first part of the program, Renee Van Heel. Renee flew up here from San Diego. You met one of her neighbors if you came to our Rebuilding Green. You heard Jock Lord, one of her friends and neighbors, recovered from a wildfire right along with her. And Renee recovered from her loss in a very, I think, unique way by really, by helping form her own organization and by reaching out to her neighbors to in a creative and I think a very positive, constructive way to journey together. And I think this community is doing a great job of journeying together. I think the city and this center we have provided opportunities for all of you to stay close. And I think that that is one of the best things that you have been doing for each other by sharing information and staying close. So without further ado, Renee Van Heel, thank you for coming and sharing your strategies for healing and dealing at the 1-year anniversary.
Thank you. Nope, I have a mic on.
You have your own mic. Okay.
So thank you. You guys, and I know what you're going through. You know, we've been back into our home for a year now, and I want to kind of take you through the journey and some things we did to help us along the way. My husband and I have been married for 26 years. I have 3 boys. At the time of the fires, they were 13, 16, and 17. They're now 20, 19, and 17. So one of the kids was only this tall when the fires happened. By the time we got in the house, you guys, he was 6'2". So that's when I knew time went. And I'm going to share, you know, some stories, and I hope you guys can relate, and I hope I can give you a few things that are going to help you get through this, because I've been through a lot in my life, and this tops what it is, and you have to be okay with that. I started a group called Fired Up Sisters, which now consists of 600 women. 1,100 homes were lost in the San Diego fires. How it all started, we were sitting around in a recovery center like this, and all with the lost look. We all know that. Like, what do we do next? And from the past, I knew getting in groups of people that have going through the same experience always helps a lot. And so I started collecting names and email addresses. Well, hello, nobody had a computer. They all burned down. So it took us a while to get started, but then I started gathering phone numbers. I had a girlfriend that volunteered her time that didn't lose her home, so she got on the phone banks, and we started getting together twice a month. So how do I... Oh, no. Technical?
Here, no, I'll do it. You
okay.
just tell me.
You guys, I know how to rebuild a house. I'm not an attorney. Thank goodness for these people you guys have. Thank goodness for the Red Cross. I don't want to do that stuff. And mentally, you guys, you got to count on these people, because we cannot do everything. There is no way. No way we can. So, you guys, we don't choose our life circumstances, but we do choose how we respond to them. We really do. And I'll tell you, if it wasn't for my group of Fired Up Sisters, and we also formed a group for the men called Burned Out Brothers, so we didn't leave you guys out. But, and then we also did one for the kids too, because in our high school, 385 kids lost their homes just in one high school. So it was, you know, a lot of kids going through a lot of things. And how many of you here have kids that are still in school or college age? Okay, because we actually formed individual groups around those ages, because it was amazing that the college kids actually had issues too. So I'm going to go through a little bit of that. Okay, you guys, suggestions on how to survive. Oh, okay. And I'll go through the Fired Up Sisters at the end, some things that we do, because I have 2 slides. Suggestions, you guys, the hardest thing I had to do was learn to ask for help. That's why I put ouch on there. I was always the one helping others, but people want to help. Let them help you. Do not be afraid to ask. You guys, in connecting with others in the same situation. You guys, with Fired Up Sisters, we would get together one noon meeting and one evening meeting a month, okay? We would have topics. Everybody got a chance to go around and talk for a little bit if they're having a hard time, but we're always there to give suggestions. And that's what it's all about. Yes, you need to be able to, you know, say if you're having a hard time, but, you know, it's amazing how we called it the new normal, okay? How many of you have friends and family that will never get what you're going through? It's not gonna, yeah. And we can't expect them to, but that's why you gotta hang around each other. Because it's so funny, because we were just, you know, someone would make a comment and it's like, yeah, we get it. You know, and so we call it the new normal. And I don't want anybody to ever have to go through that, because it's not a fun normal, but it is the new normal. And you guys, we have to accept where we're at. I was sharing today that I'm a perfectionist. My life has gone exactly how I planned. I had a perfect life, and then the fires happened. So what did I do? I tried to make the fires into a perfect life. Doesn't work. Does not work, you guys. You're going to have your bad days. So allow yourself to have those pity parties once in a while. But you know what? Don't stay there. You cannot stay there. And that's why when we get together as a group, you can have a pity party. It's totally okay because you're going through a bunch of stuff, but we would never end our meetings on a pity party. We always had to find something positive that was going on, or a small blessing. So find humor in your daily crap, your stuff. That's one thing we did. I remember we always, and gratitude is the word we use a lot. We'd say, okay, you got to be grateful for one thing. My kids one night, they said, Mom, I'm so thankful you're done picking out lights. Okay, Mom, I'm so thankful you got that toilet instead of the other one, and there was some days that all I could be thankful for is that I was breathing, that I was able to get out of bed. I mean, how many can relate to that one? A little bit of stress going on, and you guys, and this is the hardest thing, and once I started just accepting, this is where I'm at right now. It's not, I don't have to be happy-go-lucky about stuff, but you have to have gratitude for at least one thing a day, and it makes a difference. And helping others helped me quite a bit, but you can't do it very much because you still have to focus on what you need to get done. And I look at everybody's story is different, but it's amazing how we're still going through the same stuff. We were talking about inventory. I died when I had to keep doing my inventory list, and they came back and said, well, how full were your spice jars? Okay. Well, what were the name of your 250 different CDs? Oh, you had this many books? Where'd you buy them? Okay. You guys, utilize United Policyholders and the different, resources you have because it's so vitally important. You do not have to know everything. I never wanted to know about insurance. That's why we paid our insurance guy. Well, guess what? We found out we were 50% underinsured. We ran 3 businesses out of our house, and he said, oh, they're all covered. Not one was covered. So we were not only homeless, but we had no business to go back to. So, and I mean, this is how bad our insurance agent was. We had motorcycles, off-road, okay? We have boys. He insured them as watercraft. We've never owned a boat or a jet ski, okay? But I didn't pay attention because we trust them. So we were in big trouble, and there was a lot of stress, and everybody has their own story. But bottom line, we got to dig in, we got to get through it, and we got to figure out how to stay sane through the whole thing. I mean, there's many times we thought, we're not going to make it. And we'd be sitting around in the Fired Up Sisters. Everybody had to answer a wacky question. One time we asked the question, okay, how many of you are drinking more, and what's your drink of choice? That was our survival. This was probably 4 months after it happened, Okay, see, I got you to laugh. And that was the funniest one because we got into certain types of wine. One went from really good wine down to cheap wine because she was drinking more. So, but you got to find a little bit of humor in whatever you can, even the craziness. So one thing, journaling, like I say, I would journal just one word if I had to. The journaling did save me. I actually have been against journaling. People have tried to get me to journal my whole life, so I always have to do the opposite. But I had this teacher come over, sit me down and say, it will save you. And so I started journaling, and it did. Because I could get all the frustrations out of here onto paper. So you can start thinking about what really needs to get done for the day. You got to get the negative stuff out. You got to get the anger out, put it on paper so you can be productive. There were days I was so frozen with anger that I got nothing done for 3-4 days. And I went, okay, where'd that get me? So and then it was in the back of my head, okay, I'm supposed to journal. Go get it. And of course, when you're in a rental home, there's no place, no peace, no nothing where you can go do it. I used to sit out in my car and journal. And you guys, my car's burned too. So the car I had was a very small car. We had a friend that gave me a really small, old Ford Focus, which I love that car. I kiss it every day because we had a car, But that's where I would go sit in the back seat so nobody could see me. And I would just take that time. So you guys take that time for yourself. And I know it's really hard, even if it's 3 minutes. I used to take a timer and set 5 minutes and make myself sit for 5 minutes. Because you have so much to do, and you're running. Most of you guys probably have full-time jobs. I was lucky that I was able to stop running one of our businesses, and I could focus on this and my kids, and it was full-time. So I don't know how you can work and do this. I commend you, but that means you really need to take 5 minutes for yourself to do that. Exercising, you guys, going for walks. Find a walking buddy. To this day, the women are still walking together. To this day, I have a group of 2 women. I would never, ever know them. We have nothing in common except we lost our homes, and now we want to pay it forward. Nothing in common. And we still, to this day, every Tuesday and Thursday morning, go and work out. Find people that share the common interest. Because, you can walk and not talk, and it's okay. Nobody cares. If you're having a bad day, we don't care. Where if you're around people, family and people that haven't lost their homes, what's wrong? Are you going to be okay? Why aren't you in your house anymore? Now, you guys are on the 1-year anniversary. Are you starting to get that? What? You're not in your house yet? What's wrong with you? I got that all the time. All the time. You know, and another thing that we ended up making a huge joke about it is when people would say, is that new? I like your outfit. And we're going... So it ended up being a standing joke when we'd go into grocery stores and see each other. We'd go, oh my gosh, Jill, I love what you're wearing. Is that new? And we'd make a big deal about it. So it would make us all laugh because, you have to have new clothes because everything burned. You can't have it. So, but one thing, connecting with others that are going through the same thing. And not that you need to get friends and family out of your life and not include them in your building, but you guys, they're not supportive as much as they were the first couple months. And it's not anything against them. Don't get mad at them. If you don't go through this, you don't have a clue. We had fires 4 years earlier in San Diego in 2003. I wasn't very sympathetic. I was one of those, what, you're not in yet? I ran into somebody 2 years later in Bed Bath & Beyond, and she's just buying all her bed linen, and I'd said it. Now I'm so embarrassed because I wish I knew who she was. I'd go apologize. And I said, what do you mean you're not in your house? That happened 2 years ago, and I could just see her face drop. But they don't know any better. And you just got to love them anyway, but you do need to surround yourself with people that do understand what you're going through. And I see, the stress in your eyes. I see the sadness, and you got to work it through. But I promise you, you will get better. You really will. Okay, there we go. Okay, how did we survive? We made everything a game. When we laid the slab, we had a party. Okay, when the wood was up and the roof was on, we had a stud party. Well, we had the frame signing party where people would come and write well wishes and stuff. And we always have where everybody brings a dish to share. You guys, this is not supposed to be stressful. Everybody would bring a dish and a beverage, and you put out a folding table, that's it. But one of my friends, she had the right idea. She had a stud party. She had 4 guys with white t-shirts, really buff, and it was her frame signing party, but all the women got to sign their t-shirts. And I thought, I wish I would have thought of that one. But again, what do you do? She goes, I'm having the true stud party. And it was funny because she was the gal that would come to the meetings and just not say anything. She was really struggling. So when she had this stud party, it turned her around. We saw her sense of humor. We saw her starting to heal. And you have to heal, you guys. This is a huge loss. And do not berate yourself if you're not okay by now. Be okay where you're at. But if you feel you're not getting better, you guys don't hesitate to go talk to a counselor. We had to do it with my kids, but the counselor gave my boys tools to get better. Okay. You guys, I only have 1 more minute, and I really, there's so much I want to share. You guys, another thing we did was sleepovers. We just had right after the frame signing, my boys brought in a big TV, got the long extension cord, hooked up Guitar Hero, and we had 10 of the neighborhood kids over. with pizza being delivered. You guys, you got to make new memories. Okay, this is my family here. We did a project called Healing Fields. We had a flag for each house that burned, and we had a celebration. We do different things for Christmas now. You guys, right after the fires, I'm going to tell you our timeline because it wasn't just the fires. Okay, we lost our house. 3 months later, I came down with cervical cancer. 3 months later, my son severely broke his leg. 8 months later, my other son broke his back in 4 places. Okay, plus, we're trying to rebuild businesses because we have a lot of people depending on paychecks every month. So did we have stress? Yes. Everybody has a story. Okay, we are in our house. It is now feeling really, really like home. You guys, you'll get there. But you guys, the main thing we really, really learned was being patient with yourself. And hopefully, if you have a spouse, on your bad day, your spouse is going to have a good day, or vice versa. And you guys, your spouses will be glad if you have other support groups too, because I really believe you can't count on each other 100% of the time. You're going to learn tools from different people that you can bring back into the family. So I just really want to encourage you guys, exchange names and numbers. Every Fired Up Sisters meeting, everybody always came with a small notebook. The goal was to get 2 names and numbers every time you were there. New names and numbers. And it's amazing the friendships that have formed. And I can tell already, you know, thank you for putting this center together, because it is, I can tell. You guys just have a camaraderie already, but utilize each other. So with that, you guys, I will stay as long as you want. Anybody wants to talk, have questions. I wasn't able to cover what the different things the Fired Up Sisters have been able to accomplish. The big thing. Okay. The big thing. Oh, okay. Okay, you guys, like I say, started as a support group, feel normal, laugh about stupid situations. You guys, just hanging out with no expectations. Do you know how nice that is? Because your family and friends want you to be okay, but they don't know how to fix it. Well, guess what? They can't fix it because you have to go through this process. You know, they want to help. So like I say again, don't get mad at them. We turned into a buying group, you guys. We came together because I knew I was 50% underinsured, and it's like, how am I going to be able to build a house? I don't have the money. So we came together collectively, and I would go to a lighting store and say, I've got, and at the time we had probably 200 women on the list. I have 200 women here that if you give us a 25% discount, we will come to you first. Not guaranteeing we're going to buy. And it ended up where they would have an open house for us. So they would have refreshments and everything. They'd have stuff to raffle off. My one friend got this beautiful, beautiful glass sink, bowl sink. She had to design her entire bathroom around this stupid sink. And I wanted that sink. I said, see, you should have gave it to me. It would have saved you money. You know, so we went to appliance places. We went to carpet places, window treatment places, you guys. So it just really, really helps to go in collectively together. And that's why, again, if you guys have names and numbers, we send out a weekly newsletter that just says, this is who we're honoring. We also, and you have to be careful with this, but we put a list together of naughty and nice. Yeah, and ours is a public website, but so we had to eventually take it off. But if someone mistreated one of our Fired Up Sisters, they went on the naughty list, and nobody went there. We gave them 2 chances to make it right, and if they did not, they went on the naughty list. And I'm telling you, because I can't tell you how many places we went, and they would make you cry. Target was the worst. Target was terrible to us. And I mean, I cannot tell you how many people they made cry. And so I went to the manager, had a talk with him. He wouldn't make it right. None of us will, to this day, go to the Target in Rancho Bernardo. None of us. So, but again, you know, you do it in groups. So, and you guys, the biggest thing, pay it forward. We're here for you. This is what we're here for. There's a whole list that are willing to give their names and numbers out if you ever need anybody to talk to and just say, am I going crazy? You know, I mean, and honestly, you guys, how many think they've gone crazy a little bit on a few days? Honest, come on. If you don't raise your hand, you haven't lost your house. So one person carried about another represents life's greatest value, you guys. And you just automatically have a bond here. And I feel, I do too. I mean, we were talking, it's like, yeah, that's how I feel. That's exactly. So it's the new normal. And you guys take care of yourselves. That's what you have to do, and take care of each other. So thank you for letting me be here.
If anybody would like to ask Renee a question publicly, you're welcome to. Raise your hand. Otherwise, when we recess, I'm sure she'll be happy to answer. And of course, you can always access either our disaster survivor support network that has the mentors. We distributed that list in the beginning. It's posted on the listserv. If you want to access any of those folks, most of them are Renee's, a lot of them are Renee's friends and neighbors. You're welcome to email us, again, just to get another listening ear. Anybody have a question?
Like I say, I will stay. That's my philosophy.
Okay.
I'm always the last to leave. It drives my husband.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Renee. So Steve with the Red Cross is going to give you a very brief overview of the resources that you can get through the Red Cross for at this particular time in your process.
Thank you. Hi, I know most of you, and if I don't know you, you've probably seen me floating around somewhere. I just wanted to give you a few highlights of what we've done so far. We opened this center in mid-March thanks to a $100,000 grant from the Peninsula Health Foundation. We wanted to make it a one-stop shop. Can you hear me in the back? Make it a one-stop shop for you to come down, plan for your recovery needs, and get assistance with your projects. We offer case management here, as most of you know, whether it's myself or Stephanie, or it used to be Jennifer and Lottie before. We have helped some of you with lost wages, with food, with clothing, with various other needs that you have. And some hard numbers, there have been 252 different families that have come through this location that we have helped. Almost 1,400 various kinds of health services have been provided. 107 people went through the neighbor-to-neighbor programs, and so far we have distributed in goods or services $873,000 that was donated by the American public. What we want to continue to do here is to continue to meet with you, continue to plan with you, and contrary to what Renee said, we're the last to leave. We'll never leave. The Red Cross, the Red Cross will always be here, whether I'm in this room or not. The Red Cross is in every county in the country, and they never leave, even when this project is over. When the response phase, which was September 10th, I was in the gymnasium with the rest of you through November. That ended, we didn't leave. We're still here. We're in the recovery phase now, and we're going to be here for at least another 6 months or a year, helping you with what you need done. Everyone's needs are individual. Everyone's needs are different. Come on in, talk to us. We have computers, we have fax machines, copiers, printers, all the office equipment that you could ever want. Sometimes it's good just to come down and get away from your normal surroundings and work somewhere else. Sometimes you just stare at the piece of paper and go, I know I should be doing this. Come down here, work with us. If you have individual things that are, I don't know how I'm going to get this done, come down and bounce it around with us. Maybe we've heard someone else before. But you're all welcome here any time of the day to work with our equipment or work with us, and we'll be here until you're done. Thank you.
Okay, so I did neglect a few announcements when we got started. So I want to acknowledge and thank the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, which has provided a grant along with the San Francisco Foundation that has made it possible for us to be here and offering our series of educational programs. And they've extended our funding so we can continue through past the 1 year, which is good, because we just did a survey to see where folks are. And if you have not completed the survey, it was an online, we gave you a link. If you're not in the Yahoo group, then you might not know about it. But we actually really would like, if you haven't, we would like you to complete it tonight. It only takes a few minutes, 5 minutes. Emily Cabral, who's our program coordinator, who's here, she was here a minute ago, has got her laptop out there, and it's all queued up and ready, and she can walk you through it. and everybody who completes the survey will be entered into a drawing for a $25 Visa gift card. And the purpose of it is for us to continue to take your temperature, figure out where people are with the process so that we can tailor our programs. We generally know pretty much what the issues are as they come up along it's usually 2 years or so after a disaster like this. But it really helps us if there's something that a lot of people are struggling with, then of course we're going to offer a program specifically on that. So we know that tonight, obviously we're here to talk about the decisions that you may be having to make before the 1 year anniversary. Renee talked a little bit about the emotional issues. And now I'm going to bring up a speaker, Francis Doherty, who's an attorney in the Bay Area. And he's a friend. He has volunteered with United Policyholders. He has donated to support us. He is a very, very experienced insurance lawyer. He knows a lot about insurance policies. He knows a lot about the claim process. And he knows a lot about lawsuits. Now, I know that a lot of you have hired what we generally call a PI lawyer, a personal injury lawyer. A lot of you have hired either a local firm, one of the Cachette and that long Petrie, and there's another one, and then there's a local firm here, another one that a lot of you have hired one of these two firms. Some of you maybe have not hired anybody. But what we are mostly going to be talking about here tonight is whether if you let the year go, what is that going to mean? If you have not filed a lawsuit against your insurance company, what rights might you lose? And similarly, we will touch briefly on the situation with PG&E. And Francis will explain briefly about what a statute of limitations is, the one that you might have in your policy, and then the law. And our purpose is not to scare anybody or freak anybody out. It's quite the opposite. Our goal is to give your community information so you can make good decisions. And we don't expect you to absorb everything that comes at you at these events. That's why we're in fairly constant communication with a lot of you. We're here by email. You can call us at the office. You can email us if you feel uncomfortable asking a question or something occurs to you later. We have a lot of lawyers in our family. We have a lot of publications. We have a big library. There really aren't very many questions that you could come up with that we cannot shed some light on. So without further ado, I want to thank again the foundations that make it possible for us to be here. And our speakers who volunteer their time, Renee coming up from San Diego, and Francis being here with us on a Friday night. Francis Doherty practices law in Marin in Santa Rosa. And I'm going to turn the mic over to you, and when he's done, again, I encourage you to ask questions, but if you don't feel comfortable, you can either get in touch with us, or you can get Francis's card, and I'm sure he will be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to start with telling you my full name. It's Francis X. Doherty. Now, for some reason, the people on the East Coast all know what the X stands for. When I got out here to the West Coast, people didn't know what the X stood for. They would whisper to me, what does that X mean? So I want to clear it up for all of you right now. It stands for Malcolm. I'm devoted 100% of my practice to representing policyholders against insurance companies in situations that you are in. I have been in practice doing that for 40+1 years. I wouldn't tell anybody earlier, but that's how many years I've been doing that. I don't think they had tides then, but they came in after that. So I tried to find out where, I was confused, and I did a lot of research, but I still didn't find much on the internet, where you all were. Were you trying to get benefits, your payments from your insurance company, or was this action that was being filed against PG&E the way many of you were going, and then and perhaps the insurance company was taking a step back and letting you try to obtain your losses through the insurance company? And I had a little chance to talk to a few of you, and I realized that most of you have gone through your insurance companies, which is what I was here to recommend if that was not the case. Don't get scared. I have notes, but it will not be a long speech. What I wanted to start off to tell you is, like, what happens when you want your insurance company to pay for your losses? Well, it's rather very simple, because your insurance company has to pay you by a written contract of insurance. It's a contract. It isn't a tort action. You don't have to worry if PG&E was negligent or if you did something that might have been somewhat responsible for the damage to your property, because under a policy of insurance, your mistakes or anything else, or the cause of the loss by a third party is irrelevant, completely irrelevant. They promise to pay for your losses on a covered loss. Now, when you're dealing with your own insurance company, obviously you do not have to file a lawsuit. You don't need an attorney. You, in this particular situation, it is clear the explosion was a covered loss. Everyone having a policy has coverage under the policy. Now, when you deal with your insurance company, I would imagine 99% of the policies that you have cover what they first call actual cash value, a market value, and then when you buy the clothing or you replace your home, they're going to give you the extra money and call it a replacement cost. And they do that for your content, because otherwise, if they didn't pay your replacement cost, you would be limited to the market value of some dirty underwear or some old jeans and things like that. So it's an important benefit you have when you make your claim against the insurance company. In fact, if you have a claim and there's no dispute about the amount of damages and the insurance company delays payment to you, you would be entitled to pre-judgment interest during that period of time. And before I knew that most of you have gone to your insurance companies, I wanted to give you an idea of how different it is to get coverage or to get payment from PG&E. PG&E does not have to pay you a penny legally until you have a verdict against them, finding them responsible for the explosion. If you go with a lawsuit for PG&E, you're going to have costs and expenses, many of which are not covered, even if you're successful. If you are filing a lawsuit and you're involved in litigation with a big, massive company like PG&E, it can go on for years before it will resolve. Because PG&E, I don't know if it's done it yet, but it will say, I'm not fully responsible. Look at these independent engineers who told us everything was okay, and look at this guy did that. And oh, you know, you shouldn't have had your barbecue too close to the house or something. So another difficulty with trying to get your money from PG&E is that they would first have to have a massive trial on liability, and you can imagine what that would be like. PG&E has their own litigation department, 40 lawyers or something. So you would have to have the liability decided first. Then, if it was successful, each one of you would have to come before the court or the jury and prove your particular damages in the case. So you can imagine this is a long road to recovery. Okay, PG&E doesn't have to replace your property. All it has to do is pay you for what you had at the time of the explosion. So they'll give you back the dirty underwear or say, this is where you're going to buy it. It's worthless. I mean, there isn't a market for many of your personal items. So again, it's not a very satisfactory alternative. PG&E does not have to pay you interest from the time of the loss to the time a verdict is against them. There's no obligation to do that. Your insurance company, under certain circumstances, has that obligation. And now, at this point, I think many of you are familiar with it, but my point I wanted to make today, not knowing, was how easy it really is, at least in the beginning, to deal with your insurance company. Because you have about 3 things to do. Report the loss promptly. Now, I'm sure most of the insurance companies heard this one, so you didn't even have to report it. The second thing is, all you have to do is give them the documents that relate to the value of your goods and be reasonably cooperative with them. On the other hand, the insurance company has very burdensome duties to you. For example, an insurance company has to respond to your notice of your loss within 15 days by law. They must begin a full, fair, and thorough investigation within 15 days of the notice. They have to determine the cause of the loss, and if they decide to subrogate, that would mean they decide to go against PG&E, they, at their dime, have to do the investigation, save the evidence, and then they must share every bit of that information with you. So if the lawyers in the third-party case and so forth are doing it on someone else's dime, the insurance company should have stood up and taken that burden from you. They will assist you, and I know most of you by now, this is a year later, have your housing, and they will assist you in helping determine your content claim. I say they will, and I know there's certain disagreements about that, but I'm just saying in general, if there was a perfect world going on, this is the alternative you have. So, in addition, I don't know if they told you this, your insurance companies, they have an obligation to affirm or deny your claim within 40 days of the notice. And if they affirm your claim, unless there's some reason otherwise, they have to pay it 30 days later. So those who lost their homes and so forth, unless there were problems, should have had their full policy limits paid to them in 70 days. Now, we're a year away at this point. And they should be telling you these things. You should not, I shouldn't have to be the first one to tell you these things, and I hope I am not. Let me just tell you a few other things. When the insurance company doesn't do what I said and disobeys and doesn't act reasonably or with proper cause, they are punished severely. For one, if they unreasonably withhold your policy benefits, they are responsible for all of the consequential damages that they cause because of that. You can't pay your mortgage or some other kind of bill. So all the things that foreseeably flow from withholding your money, and that's your money on the day of the fire. by the day of the explosion. The only caveat is that you obviously have to go through the process to explain it. That day, they are the debtor, you are the creditor.
When you said they're supposed to pay your claim in full, I don't know if anybody knows when they've gotten their claim, there is a depreciation money they hold back for when the house is rebuilt, okay? At what point in the rebuilding process can you say, look, we're rebuilding, can you give us that money?
I was thinking of, I'm generalizing, and I was thinking of a case where you have, say, a house completely destroyed, you have $1 million policy, the house is worth $500,000. There should be a check in your pocket within that period of time. Now, they have the actual cash value, the replacement cost value.
No, I'm talking about this is for the structure.
Yeah, for the structure. Well, it's for the clothes, too.
Depreciated and actual cash value, kind of the same thing.
Right.
But I'm just saying, at what point when you're rebuilding, do you turn it in and say, look, you're rebuilding, we need this money that you're depreciated off, you have to wait for that out 100% bill?
No, you do not. And the law is a little bit ambiguous. They haven't, believe it or not, after all these years, there's still not a clear case on it. But generally, you get 10% of the construction done, give me 10%. What the magic word they try to use is incurred. When you incur the expense, then they pay it. Big arguments go on because when you sign a contract with your contractor for X dollars to build your house, you have incurred a legal obligation.
Okay.
Hey, hang on, sorry.
I'm having a little confused because no, please don't.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
having a problem.
Okay, I'll restate the question after you say it. Go ahead.
The insurance commissioner was down, and he was telling us because we were declared a state disaster, that instead of the 12 months the insurance companies usually say we have 24 months. And I'm not getting a clear answer on that even from my insurance company.
Okay, so her question relates actually to what he was talking about is that the law says in California you have to get 24 months or 2 years of additional living expense coverage. That's not, it doesn't have anything to do with the depreciation or the actual cash value. But so your question is, when do we get the difference between the amount they've paid, the depreciated amount, and the full amount, correct? And Mr. Doherty is saying when you give them evidence that you have spent more than that depreciated amount that they've paid you, that's when they have to give
So
you.
I sent them a picture of my house as it is to the building of it is, and it's way more than what that was. That would be evidence.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
you can just call them up. I mean, they always want more evidence. They always want more documents. So get your butt out here and take a look. I've got it halfway built. Here's my contractor. Yeah, so you can do that. And the only logical way, and I think most companies, if they're going to be acting in good faith to you, they should be giving you enough money. I mean, you got to pay your contractor. They're not going to work for nothing.
Somehow the bank does, because I know that the bank has a lot of, like, you know, that the check that we all received was made out to us and the bank that we own escrow that. And so they actually, the bank that we have our mortgages through has like an escrow account, and then they're the ones that have said that they're gonna release the money depending on the stages of the building. So I'm not sure that it's the insurance company that's the problem.
Well,
So hang on.
They hold back. If you look at your breakdown, they'll hold back for what they call depreciation.
Okay, so Terry was bringing up the point that the mortgage company is holding on to the check that the insurance company paid for actual cash value or whatever it was that they paid. And so that's yet another issue. So we're
Right.
actually talking about three different things here. We're talking about how long, the 2 years of benefits for your temporary rent, that is clear, right? They should be paying you guys. So the 1 year should not affect, you should be continuing to get your ALE past the 1 year. But the lender releasing the funds and the payment of full replacement value, I want to keep focusing on the 1 year. What does this mean, and what decisions should people be making now in anticipation of that clock running, because
Okay.
that's what I want to focus on.
Okay, but if I can just answer the question, the bank is going to get no more than the actual cash value. Then you have the deal work out with the bank. When that fund is depleted, then the bank or you tell the insurance company and they give more money to the bank. They do have to pay the money to the bank. They have endorsements on all the policies. So that's yes.
Pertaining to the state disaster, what exactly is indicated with the 2 years? What part of the property? Is it all property damage? Is it only the long-term, living outside of the property? Or if you're in and out of the property?
Well, first of all, it has to do with the period within which to file suit. You have a 2-year extension, I assume, rather than just 1 year, and I haven't looked at what is exactly there. But even if you have 2 years to build your house, the insurance company is not going to just say, sit back, wait 2 years. They're going to say, how long would it take you exercising due diligence and dispatch to build back that building? And you can consider all of the reasonable factors that are involved, the terrible destruction to a whole area and things like that. But you don't automatically get the 2 years. They're giving you an extension, so potentially if it took more than 1 year, the limit on the policy, you get another 12 months.
So,
What if it's not completely wiped, in other words, if you're in between property that's still standing, but you have damage and all of the other issues?
so are you asking, you have a partial loss, you're asking whether the 1 year, that matters?
Yeah, in other words, if they've denied things and you have to go to PG&E and you haven't yet you're not in a law case yet, you don't have a retainer yet, you have attorneys that are looking at the case, but they're waiting to determine exactly what the cases are going to be. So I'm in an in and out position because
Right.
I'm out of my property again.
Let me hang on 1 second, because we gave you a handout, this is tricky stuff. A statute of limitations, losing your right to sue, it's tricky. And there aren't always clear answers, and I want to give you a chance to speak on it, but I want to be clear with all of you that the reason we gave you this handout and the reason that we have our sample letter is that we feel that we would rather you be cautious, we'd rather you be safe, and we'd rather have you have a clear discussion with your insurance company before the 1 year. If you have not been paid your full policy benefits, right? We feel, and very strongly, that you should have a written agreement, a confirmed in writing from your insurance company that they are extending the 1 year suit provision that's in your policy so that you don't lose any leverage against them in terms of your claim. We're not saying you need to rush out and file a lawsuit before the 9th, okay? But we do want you to have a discussion and get a confirmation with your insurance company. Now, Francis, I want to hear your view on this because
that is one of the purposes that I'm here, to tell you to get all of your policy benefits immediately. It's a year now, or close to it. You should all have all of the insurance money with the holdbacks and the extensions as explained. The amount of loss should be agreed on by now. Your inventory should be in place by now, and if it isn't, they should be helping you. Your additional living expense should be based on how long it's going to take to build your home. All those things should be pretty much ironed out by now. Start doing it. Get there. I mean, you call your insurance company.
We're in the progress, but it seems like it's like taking forever.
Right. Well, I mean, that's why we're here, and that's why we've been we've been doing this series because we want, you know, there are certain steps that you have to be taking, meaning like why we've been telling you keep a diary and write those letters and be the squeaky wheel. And if you can't do it, you need to get help. Because, you know, whether it's help from the Department of Insurance or help from a public adjuster or help from a lawyer, if our library of do-it-yourself stuff is just not an option, you're working, this is the time to get help. Because what I get nervous when the 1 year comes around and people have not, and people are, it sounds to me, I'm hearing rumblings here, that a lot of you have not gotten the payments from your insurance companies that you have requested. And that, if that's happening, you do need to take it to another level, I feel.
Right, and just so I don't send anybody running out the door and killing everybody, there's a tolling provision. When you present your claim to your insurance company, the statute of limitations stops, they call it a tolling. And during the time that they take to investigate your claim, and right up until the time that they make the last payment to you, or they send you a written, unequivocal denial of your policy benefits, your statute of limitations is tolled.
Stop. The clock
Stop.
stops.
The clock stops.
The clock is stopped.
So as long as they are still dealing with you and they're working with you, you're not even coming up to the first 12 months necessarily. But on cases, what I was thinking, if somebody's walking away and say, I want to go against PG&E, and the insurance company said, fine, and they're not adjusting your loss anymore, can you say that I can toll it or stop the statute? Maybe not. And that's what I'm here to tell you, that to make sure that you keep in contact with them, that at this point you haven't denied the claim, you haven't fully paid it. And not only that, thank you, you're going to let me know that after you make your final payment, or after you send me that denial letter, I have 2 more years, because I presented that to you the day of the fire. So
can you talk, Francis, about if folks have hired a lawyer to go after PG&E? I think that's kind of the situation a lot of people are in, is they figured then I don't really have to worry about my insurance. So is that what, can you talk about that?
Well, that would be what I consider financial.
You guys, I remember when the 1 year came up, the insurance companies know it's 1 year and they are going to give you a terrible time. And this is where I plugged in to the resources. You don't have to be the only one fighting. Is it the insurance, the State Department of Insurance, what is it called?
Yeah, they'll come back. We can
Yeah,
do another
because that's,
program.
I had written everything down. They gave me such a hard time, and you guys, you're exhausted. And so I wrote down everything they were doing. I met with them. They came down for 2 days to meet with people, and I said, what do I do? And I wrote down exactly what I had to tell them. And that's what you need. You need the lingo. You need to stand strong, and it got done. But if I would not have had you guys and sat down with my list of what they're giving me a hard time about, their job is to give you a hard time, and it stinks. But don't, it's totally their job. And they know the 1 year's up, they know what's at stake, so they're trying to beat you down. Don't do it. Plug into these people, get your help, but say what's going on so you go there prepared. They will give you the exact lingo. And it took care of mine. It really did.
Yeah.
So I can't encourage you to do that enough if they're giving you a hard time. You have to have a clear picture, and you have to present to them a clear picture, and your mind's foggy. Let these guys take what you're going through and make it into a clear picture for you. So all I did was read. That's all I did, was read what you guys told me to say.
Well, I mean, just so that you guys, so that I want to make sure we're really clear on this. Just because the year comes by, that doesn't mean that your insurance company no longer has an obligation to pay your claim if you haven't sued them, all right? That is not the case, right? They have what's called a continuing duty, right? To adjust your claim in good faith and pay, make a fair settlement offer, right? So all we're saying is that we want to make sure you don't lose any leverage, and you don't need, there's no reason to worry. We just want you to be careful at this time and make sure that you communicate to the insurance company, my claim's open, right? We're not done here, right? This claim's open. There's no reason for me to file a lawsuit, right? You're not going to assert that somehow this suit against us, right? We just want you to have clear communication, because it does sound like for a lot of you that you're still in a situation where you maybe either have not finished adding up everything in terms of what you need from them, in which case, as Francis said, they should be helping you with that. Or there's a dispute, there's a gap. They're saying it's going to cost X to rebuild, we only owe you X, and your contractor's saying it's Y, and you've got that gap. Those are all very common situations, and again, there's no reason to get stressed out, but there is a reason to think, okay, I'm not where I should be, and I'm going to need to get some help. And so whether it's getting help from the Department of Insurance or whether...
All right, the law in California is such that you don't have to go piecemeal and file a lawsuit for each individual item. It would be at the end of the game when they say, that's your final payment, and I didn't pay you for that. That's when you need your lawyer if you disagree with them.
And what if you have filed against the insurance company with the state commissioner's office already, and they're handling, they see all the emails, but there's no feedback from them at all? With reference to anything that's transacting between.
They really don't get that involved in an individual situation. I've found this over the years. So you have to, be proactive yourself. They'll write a letter to the insurance company. The insurance company will say, well, we did this, we're arguing about that. And they'll write you a letter back and say, well, you have to get a lawyer. So
They will not be a free lawyer for you. The State Department of Insurance will not be a free lawyer for you. They can take you just so far, but they will not. So we did promise that this was going to end at 7. We don't like to go over because we want you to always be able to rely when you come to one of our programs that will get you in and out. But again, I think probably both of our speakers will be happy to answer your questions afterwards, or you can email or call us. So again, it's info@uphelp.org, and we can connect you with any of these folks. And again, if you did not complete our survey, Emily, the lovely Emily, will help you with that, and it would be helpful to us. If anybody has any questions for Lisa with the building department or our officer in the back, feel free. And again, thank you so much. And thank you so much. And Paige Labradette, our tried and true staffer back there, and Emily Cabral, thank you all.